that's cool. I don't think I've seen that before. That's gold when I can do some of my testing of a new game or I'm trying an app or and some little nugget pops up there and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that before. How can I use that somewhere else? Because for those of you who've been here before, know a lot of the stuff I do, I am always harvesting ideas from games and books and apps and marketing and wherever I can find it to build more engagement, whether it's in learning, business, events, whenever, wherever. So recently I was playing um, a new little mobile game. And it doesn't even matter what the game was per se, because I've now started to see something a little similar, as you often do. One game starts to put a new little touch on something, and then you start to see it other places. So I want to talk about just what it was I saw, and then we can think about some of the cool ways that you might be able to leverage this idea in your space, whatever that may be. So if you've played any of these casual games, you probably have encountered at some point sort of the daily reward structure. And it goes something like this. There's usually either a 7-day period. Some games do a 30, but that I don't see that as much these days. Maybe it's just the games I've looked at. It's usually a 7-day. So we'll go with that. So on day one, you play the game and you get a little resource. You get a little reward, something that you need can use somehow in the game. And it's pretty small. But come back for day two, you get something else. And then by day seven, if you complete the streak, you get the largest sort of reward of that little collection. And this is pretty standard. I've seen this for plenty of years. There's not a whole lot new about that. There's two variations of it, however. And I break these things down because sometimes we just don't notice them when things are right there in front of us and we don't really think about how they could be applied or why they're chosen or that sort of thing. So with the daily streak, I've seen two variations. One is you have to come back every single day. And if you don't, you go back to the beginning. So I played on day one and then I played on day two, but I skipped day three. Oops, I go back to day one again. Okay, that's one variation. Now, if I was applying this in other spaces, the key question would be, do I need the person to really do this every single day to get the benefit or to accomplish whatever desired behavior I ultimately am hoping for? The other variation is where you just have to complete that number of days. So I just need to do it 7 times. I need to play the game 7 times. So even if I skip a day or two, if I played game day one and day two, and then, I had plans on the weekend or something and I didn't play. And I came back the next week and it was on the calendar the fifth day since I started playing, but it was the third day of gameplay, I would still get the reward for day three. And then I would continue on with the streak. And in some cases, maybe that's the method that we want because we don't really care if the person did it consecutive days. What we care about is that they are coming back. And particularly because if coming back a certain number of instances might trigger something else. Like maybe I want to roll out features to them slowly, and I want to make sure they've been in the system a few times before I start dropping more advanced functionality on them. I want to make sure they're okay and they're in there and they're doing what they need to do. So maybe it's simply by the fifth time they log in to do this thing, play this game, whatever it happens to be. Maybe on that fifth instance, they now get introduced to something new or they get some additional resources or whatever the situation is for your context. So it would vary. But that's two very different structures, and they have different motivational sort of levers to them. Now, the new thing I saw, and I went, ooh, this is new, and it just plays right into one of my favorite game elements ever, which is choice. So what this one did was I played the game and when I got the reward for, let's say it was day one, it doesn't matter what day it was. I got the reward for day one. It's like, here's your reward. But then it said, hey, what would you like for your reward next time. Whoa, that was different because usually you don't get a choice. It's usually predetermined. This is your rewards and this is the days you get them on. This was very cool because now what does this do for me? This lets me play the game the way I want to play it. So maybe I'm more interested in exploring. So I need more health points or whatever the currency of that world is. Or maybe I am trying to level up my hero. And so I need more health. I mean, I need more experience points, or I need more strength points, or whatever it is in that game. I get to choose. And so now I get to play the game and get to advance in the game further because I'm getting these additional resources that are relevant to me. And that can make it may sound like a small thing, but that could make a really big difference. So let's put it back in the learning context for a second. Let's say you're learning a new software system. Not everybody who uses any system is using every single feature of the system. People might be using it for slightly different functionality, or they might have jobs that are at different levels. And so they're doing different things in the system. So if I have the opportunity to say, okay, here's the information I'm giving you on day one. Now, tomorrow, would you rather learn about X or Y? Now I get people some agency. I get them to participate in deciding their journey. They get to design their learning journey. And that's not to say that all the other options wouldn't be available to them, that they could go back and learn all the things if they wanted to. But this way, they get to choose what is most relevant to them. Now, obviously, this is not going to work in all cases. If it's something that people are just starting out with, they don't know what they don't know. So I'm not saying you could necessarily do this right at the beginning. If you were onboarding somebody, you might not be doing this right at the beginning, but maybe they finished their first 30 days and now they're kind of getting settled in a little bit and they really want to get to work on different aspects of their job. And now they may have either figured out for themselves or have gotten some feedback from a manager or whatever to say, you know what, this is an area that I think you could benefit from exploring more. So when the system shows up and says, hey, here's your training you need to take this month, and you finish the first piece, and then it gives you an option. Which one do you want to do next? Now, sometimes it might be a false choice. Sometimes it may just be giving you a choice of the order in which to do them. That's fine. That's still giving people some choice, maybe something that's more interesting, more relevant, whatever. But sometimes it could actually branch off and it could say, I need to know more about this pathway of this software, and somebody else might be using this other pathway that might not be relevant to me, or I might not be using right now. I might need to know that later. So, again, the idea here was simply that it was a common thing I had seen in a lot of games, but this game and some others I've seen since then have just added a little twist to it and said, hey, you get to decide, you get to participate. Um, Let me know if this is something, if you can think of an example of how this might apply to your situation. I'm thinking of tons of examples right now where I'm planning to maybe think about using it, or I'm just going to put it in the idea chest back here and it'll be ready for when I need it. So let me know what you think. If you try it out, you have an example, please share that with me. I love to hear what people do with the ideas that I just toss out into the wild. And until next time, go out there, stay curious, be gameful, and I'll see you back here. Bye.